Hi, I'm Deborah Michaels with DIA, and I'm here with Kathleen Higgins, who's a patient scholar at our meeting this year. And Kathleen, I wanted to talk to you. I was very interested in the organization that you represent. As a patient representative, what organization do you represent, and what patient community does it serve?
Okay. I represent the Li-Fraumeni Syndrome Association. We have a genetic disorder. It is in the cancer family. We have a mutation on our TP53 gene. Our population can get any one of 9 cancers in our lifetime, and it needs to be handled with genetic or gene therapy or something modification. Right now, the only treatment that we have for our disease is surveillance. Once we get cancers, we're put into the same category as most other cancer patients, doing chemotherapy and surgeries and that kind of thing. So when we get that kind of treatment, we're only treating the symptom and not the root cause of our disease. So, I lost 2 of my daughters to this disease. My father-in-law and sister-in-law, and my husband has it as well. So I came to this organization looking for something to do to make a difference. And I just, with the information I knew about our disease, I couldn't just sit back and be quiet, because there are a lot of families around the world that have what we have and don't realize they have it. So I take my personal journey through this disease and try and spread awareness wherever I can, to try and help and make a difference and find another family so that they don't have to suffer the way we did because they didn't know what was going on.
I see. It seems like it might be a really challenging process to diagnose that disease, since it may present as people just think that it's cancer. Are you working on kind of a diagnosis pathway, or?
We do try and inform the doctors out there. The really only way to figure it out is by taking a family history. Most of our cancers are pretty big guns. We have leukemia, early onset breast cancer, brain tumors, bone cancers. They usually are early in childhood or teenage years. So what we try and educate the doctors about is that if there's a family that has a major cancer, a child with a major cancer at a young age, that they should do a family history. Our daughter got cancer when she was 12 years old, an osteosarcoma. My father-in-law and sister-in-law had been passed away at that point from young ages from cancer, but there was no dialogue with our family about anything being genetic. So in our thing, we just thought we were an unlucky cancer family. Some people get drug abuse, some people are alcoholism in their family. We had cancer in our family, and that's what we thought. It wasn't until our second daughter got cancer in 2002, when she was 18, an adrenal cortical carcinoma she had, that the pieces started to fall together, that something was actually going wrong. So we did do a genetic tree on our family, and it was determined that there was possibility that LFS was in our family. So my daughter Maureen had passed away at that time. So Carrie, our daughter that had an osteosarcoma when she was 12, was tested through DNA testing, and she came back positive for LFS. We didn't know what LFS was. We had no idea about genetics. We had no idea about any of that stuff. Let alone spell it or say it. But we got immersed in that world very quickly, and we just had to do surveillance. My husband was not tested back then because we didn't have any medical insurance, so they just assumed that he had it back then. It was pretty expensive to get a DNA test done, so he was just treated as if he did have it.
I see.
He didn't present with cancer until 2014, about 6 months after our other second daughter passed away. He presented with cancer at that time, and then he was tested so that there was a label put on his condition of LFS. So.
Okay. And so is there any difference in treatment when you have LFS and you're more prone to cancer, or is it really just treatment of the individual cancers?
It's mainly it's the doctors putting out the fires. every time you get a cancer. The only thing we do is we stay away from radiation. There is a theory out there that radiation can cause secondary cancers in some cases. So to be safe, our population stays away from radiation as much as possible. But other than that, we get surveillance. We do whole body MRIs or MRI scans every 6 months for surveillance. When cancer does appear, then we go on to the path of every other cancer patient with chemotherapy and surgery and that.
Do you know anything about the prevalence of the disease, either in this country or globally?
When we were first diagnosed back in 2003, we were told there was about 400 families in the world that had it. Right now, with all the new DNA testing that's going on, we're thinking that it's more than like 1 in 5,000 people are walking around with the P53 mutation. So that's quite a large population, and with all of us having the possibility of getting any one of 9 cancers, we're a big block of potential cancer patients out there in the world. So, yeah.
So what would you say is the focus of the work of your organization? What do you think is kind of the most important work that you're doing right now?
We have a multi-pronged approach to what we're doing. We're first and foremost a patient advocacy group, just supporting the families that have been newly diagnosed with LFS, and trying to give them any education and new things that we hear about. We're also funding some research that we feel is helpful to our disease. We actually study elephants, of all things. Elephants have 40 copies of the TP53 that humans have 2, and they don't get cancer. So Joshua Schiffman out at the Huntsman Institute in Salt Lake City, Utah, has been studying elephants for a number of years and has been having great success treating human cancer cells with the elephant P53. So that's kind of, but we have a medical advisory board, we have a genetic counselor advisory board, we have a medical consortium. So we're trying to keep our fingers in everything to try and be well-rounded to help our LFS community in any way we can.
Okay. And I would imagine that you would really appreciate it if people would come and visit your website and learn more about you. And I wish I had a little placard here with your website on it, but do you want to just tell everybody what it is?
Sure. We are the Li-Fraumeni Syndrome Association. Our website is www.LFSAssociation.org. There's all kinds of information on there, resources, news articles we have that are going on, events that we have going on that we're funding for our population. Right now our organization is concentrating on our youth because they're the up-and-coming patients in our community. So we are trying to service the youth we're doing a youth workshop next month in Boston, where we're bringing 20 youth from around the world that have LFS together. Most of them have never met another LFS patient, but they're just going to learn how to deal with a life-threatening disease, all the social nuances that go with having a disease that you could pass on to your children, dating, marriage. A lot of our girls, because they have almost 100% chance of getting breast cancer, are considering at 18, 19, 20 years old having prophylactic double mastectomies. So that is a big trauma for these young girls to try and have to face that decision. So our youth workshop this will be the second one we're doing with it, and we found it very helpful. The teens found it very helpful to try and help them learn how to navigate this, because they'll be taking over our spot someday in the organization. So we're trying to train them and give them the best tools they can get.
Absolutely. Would you say you have found information or insights here at DIA 2019 that might help you in your work?
Absolutely. This is my first year here, and I was kind of nervous that this was outside of my wheelhouse of where I normally travel in this, but I found it so invigorating and so exciting to have opened up my eyes to different possibilities of researchers and companies that could help us, that we had not investigated that, and I hadn't thought about that. I didn't realize that we should be reaching out to these gene therapy companies and letting them know we're out there and that we're a big population that's desperately needs help, and we're willing to work with them. So that has been really exciting for me. Like, I can't wait to go home and go on the internet and dive into who's dealing with our P53 gene and get started with a collaboration with other people. So I'm so grateful for your organization to give me this opportunity to learn those things.
Well, we're very happy to have you here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you everybody for listening, and have a great day.